Are you thinking about buying a tarot deck, but you just don't know which one to choose? Are you wondering if there's some kind of special criteria for choosing a tarot deck? Or maybe you're wondering which tarot deck would be best for a beginner, somebody who's learning the tarot. How do you know if you're choosing one that's right for you? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer those questions and give you some guidance to help simplify the process. Hello, I'm Wendy, Rapp, spiritual life coach and psychic tarot reader. On this channel, I help you as a spiritually awakened person grow and evolve on your soul's journey. And if you enjoy material like this, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next upload. You want to buy a tarot deck, so you go to a New Age store like EarthSpirit New Age Center. But when you see the selection and the variety of tarot decks that they have, you may feel a bit overwhelmed. So before you choose a deck, consider this. Learning the tarot is like learning a new language, which really is what it is. It's a language of archetypes and symbols. So I would recommend choosing a deck that has simple imagery. If you're a beginner, I would definitely recommend you start with the Rider Tarot or the Universal Weight Tarot. Those decks use the tradition that is most commonly used in the tarot. So other decks that you may see on the shelves of most New Age centers will also follow the tradition of the archetypes and symbols that are used in the Rider or the Weight decks. The Rider Weight decks are the easiest to begin with, and once you learn the archetypes and the symbols in those decks or one of those decks, you can easily read pretty much all the other decks that are out there that follow that tradition. Also, most of the books that are written on the tarot are written based on the Rider Waite tradition. So if you want to learn more or go deeper, because the decks on the shelves do come with these little itty bitty skinny little pamphlets that give you a basic meaning. I mean, it's a good place to start, but it gives you a basic meaning of each of the cards. It doesn't go too in depth. So if you're serious about learning the tarot, I would definitely say you might want to pick up a book to help you. A book that I really, really love and I find it helpful and it's very easy to follow is there we go, Tarot Plain and Simple. And yes, EarthSpirit has it. The cover on the newer copies of this book, I think the background's blue. It's a little bit different, but this is a really great book to use if you're new to the tarot and you're learning. It goes into the uprights, the reversals, the astrological meaning. It goes into so much. It gives you a number of different spreads and how to read those different spreads. I mean, it really goes in depth with reading the tarot, more so than those little itty bitty pamphlets. So I'd recommend, if you're serious about learning tarot, Tarot Plain and Simple. It's a great book. But what if you just don't feel drawn to the Rider Waite deck or it's just not calling to you? That's okay. I personally do not own a Rider Waite deck. I don't feel drawn to it. I never have. I started with a different deck, but it's a deck that was done in the Rider Waite tradition. So it was very easy for me to find books that would help me go deeper with those decks that I have. So just take your time. Look at the shelf, look at all the different types of tarot that they have, and go with what you feel drawn to. If there's a deck you feel drawn to, pick it up off the shelf, get a feel for it. Trust me, each deck does have its own energy. I have many different decks, and there's 3 that I use personally in my home for different questions or different areas that I need a reading on. They each speak to me differently, and they each carry a different energy with them. I find that so fascinating, but they each have different energies. So feel the energy of the deck that you pick up. Does it call to you? Does it speak to you? Do you feel connected to it? That's how you know that this is the right oracle for you to use. So let your intuition guide you. Take time exploring the imagery, the artwork that you see on the box, because the artwork that's on the box is usually a card or it's indicative of the style of the deck, the pictures, the illustrations in the deck. Most boxes will have pictures or sampling of the cards on the back of the box. Even some of the smaller boxes have that. But if the smaller boxes don't have a sampling of other cards in the tarot deck, usually you can tell by the imagery that's around the sides of the box. Those are images that come from some of the tarot cards. So take a good look at the imagery. Do the colors, the style, the artwork, does it call to you? Does it appeal to you? Another thing you might want to keep in mind is nowadays we're really fortunate because tarot decks come in such a wide variety of themes. They come in goddess with themes and witches themes and fairies and dragons and unicorns and animals and nature. So is there a theme or an energy that you want to work with when you're doing a reading? If so, then keep that in mind and look for a deck that reflects that energy. Another thing you want to keep in mind is the size of the cards. You want to be able to comfortably hold the cards, to shuffle the cards, so keep that in mind as well. This is a larger deck I have. Now I can just get my fingers around it, just barely. Shuffling this deck, it's a big thick deck, you can see. It's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, but I keep it more as a collector's deck than actually working with it because I need two hands and I can't even put my fingers like to shuffle. I can't. I don't. So I don't use this deck. It's pretty. I think it's lovely. You also, if it's a larger deck, you need a larger surface to work on. So keep that in mind. I use a deck. This is one of my older decks, but this is the deck I read with at the store. And it's easy for me to get my hand around it, as you can see. And I can shuffle it just fine. Whoops, if I'm not being too klutzy about it. But this is an easy deck for me to hold on to handle, to shuffle. Keep it in mind when you're looking for a deck of tarot. And I've heard it said, and I want to dispel this myth, I've heard it said that tarot deck should be gifted to you or you won't have good luck or success with it. And that's just a bunch of baloney. I don't know where that myth started, but it's just a myth. It's baloney. I know, myself included, all the professional readers that I know, and I know a few, have bought their own decks, and they're incredibly successful readers and incredibly talented psychic people, and they give great readings, and they bought their own decks. So I've always bought my own decks. I couldn't imagine somebody waiting around for somebody to buy one for me. I couldn't imagine. I have to feel the connection myself. When I go and look for a tarot deck, I have to intuitively feel a personal connection, energetic connection to that deck. And that's what you need to do. Rely on your intuition. It's an oracle. It's a tool you will use in a very sacred way. It's not just a toy. It is a tool. So you want to feel intuitively connected, personally connected to your tarot deck. So if you find a deck that just speaks to you, that intuitively, energetically feels like it's right for you, that's really all you need to know about finding the right tarot for you. I hope that information was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments about today's material, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I will see those comments or questions and I'll be happy to answer them. If you'd like to have a reading with me, you can connect with me through EarthSpirit New Age Center. Their phone number is on the screen. Just give them a call and they'll be happy to schedule an appointment for you. Also, if you'd like to connect with me on social media, the links are below in the description box. As always, thank you so much for joining me here today. And remember, you are a spark of the divine. Share your light with the world. Blessings.